This is not our world. Unfortunately, this is. And it's the sad truth that we so oftenly overlook. Most of you might have known by now that Indonesia was nominated as the second largest ocean plastic contributor in the world, while Surabaya was nominated first in the entire country by generating 2,790 tons of trash each day. That number is almost like dumping 520 elephants into landfill every day. So, can you imagine that much amount of trash being stacked up higher and higher at a landfill that will soon be full? Here's a little experiment for you to try at home. Pile every single trash that you've ever produced in your room. Don't take it anywhere. Leave it there. After a month, will you still want to live there? There are two possible outcomes. You clean the room, or you move to another room. This planet is like that room, only we don't have the option to move to another room. So what happens? We clean them. A few years ago, I didn't know that much about this whole thing. I used to actively consume with no regard I was making, until one fine morning I was reading the newspaper and there was an article talking about how serious the issue was going around in this country, in this world. And from then on, there's always some news about the river being so polluted with trash. A cleaning effort was made, but 1 week later, it was filled to the brim with trash again. Or there's always some news about a dead animal found stranded ashore with a staggering amount of plastic in its stomach. Yeah, have you ever read something like that? Yeah? Isn't that sad? That got me thinking, if this keeps going on, what kind of a world are we going to live in? Is that a legacy I want to leave behind to my child? So everything started from a very selfish place for me, simply wanting a great future for my son, because no amount of fortune could make up for the destruction of the world. So after several research through Google, of course, it led me to Precious Plastic, an amazing community. It's a platform with communities as to how people can personally help as individuals from home through recycling. I joined that and our own project began. There are so many different types of waste, of course, but our focus for now is plastic. Take a plastic bag, for example. If you use it only for 20 minutes, and then it got carried by the wind, if you don't dispose it properly, it got carried by the wind and enter the waterways, which always end up in the ocean, what happens then? What is the chance of us eating plastic? If I'm asking you, have you ever eaten plastic before? Of course, the answer is no. But if I'm asking you, have you ever tasted salt? I'm sure all of us can say yes. And where do these salt come from? The ocean. Now, what I meant about that is that plastic can survive for a very long time. It breaks down to smaller particles, yes, but they don't completely disappear. Wouldn't it be a shame if we're only using them for 20 minutes merely for convenience? So these plastics, when they enter the ocean, exposed to different changes of temperatures and weather and salt water, they break down into smaller particles called microplastics. And these microplastics are the ones in your salt because they're at microscopic level, they're super small, you can't see it with your naked eyes. So that's why we chose to dedicate our lives into these things, to try to put a stop into these wastes from entering our environment and destroying our surroundings. There are 7 types of plastics commonly found around us. And these are the things that we use in our workshop. Not all of them, of course, but number 1, PET is the ones that you commonly found in your drinking bottles, the single-used ones. Number 2 is HDPE. You can find them in the bottle caps. So your bottles are made from number 1, but the caps are from number 2. So they're different. Number 3, PVC. Most of us probably know them for pipes. Number 4 is the usual packaging, non-food packaging, diapers. Number 5 is PP, polypropylene. They're found in cups, plastic cups and straws. Number 6, PS. You can find them in CD cases, toys. 7, other. Why is it called other? Because it was made but with so many different mixtures of chemicals, not from just one raw material. So if you can, avoid 7 altogether. We can work with number 2, number 4, and number 5. Usually, we would collect those trash, bring them to our garage, sort them into the right category, and then wash them, clean them, and then cut them or shred them if you have the shredder, and we melt them. Once melted, it has a caramel-like consistency. And when I say that, I mean heavy, sticky, and super hot. But after that, once it regains back its solid state, it could be treated just like wood. It could be melted, it could be molded into anything. And so that's what we do. We chose to transform what was once waste into, well, not waste. Like this plastic bag, for example, or this straw. We can transform them into these things. Or that table. So if you get creative, you can change these things that were invaluable and transform them into something that offers unprecedented opportunities, adds value, and its lifetime, and help the environment by reducing waste. You put a stopper in that. But in all of this that we're doing, we're just one person. I'm just one person. I can't do this alone. If all of you are thinking about going zero waste, maybe you might think it's completely impossible because of the availability of the alternative products are still very limited or not very affordable. Well, if you start small, take baby steps, and focus on what's available, then gradually it becomes possible. takes a lot of effort too, but just take small steps. I didn't have this concern before. Like I said, I used to actively consume with no regard for the impact I was making. But then we have to adjust our lifestyle too along with the project. So we started refusing, reusing, reducing, and recycling. And you can help too. Maybe you don't have to recycle exactly like the way we do it at Warp. Maybe you don't have the right resources, and that's okay. You can choose to help and take actions however you can. By, for example, bringing your own reusable bag, bringing your own tumbler, or skipping the straw. If you see someplace dirty or a lot of litters, pick it up, put it in the bin. Only complaining doesn't help. And like I've said before as well, you can refuse, reduce, reuse, and if you can, recycle. It takes a lot of work, but together, we can do this for tomorrow. Thank you.